Yeah, I
So we
set it
drove
up.
down to the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place on earth, just outside of Asheville, North Carolina, 5 hours away from me. So the first thing I was wondering was, what have you been up to this year? Like, you've been living in Asheville for what, 3, 4, 5 months now?
Yeah, we moved here on May 4th, and yeah, this year we started off. Me and Camille, we've been together for a long time, but we decided before any of this happened that we were going to say our vows on a glacier down in Argentina, and so we went down and did that at the beginning of this year,
Yeah.
and so I finished up working with my last solo tour, which was on the West Coast with Eddie. And then I remember I got back, and then really the last shows I did, other than local stuff, was with my band Honky, and that was March 13th and 14th. We did 2 nights, and then just nothing, just absolutely nothing. But in between them, me and Camille went down to Patagonia and spent 2 weeks down there, and did that. Then we had a party, and it was a gnome, mushroom and gnome theme party, and out in the country. And it was right before the warnings came out, when they just started talking about it. So just enough to where my folks would be worried about coming out. So that was like it. And then we actually did the paperwork when we got here because of other technical reasons. That's why we weren't going to change our plans because of some technical stuff. So we did it ass backwards, but if we wouldn't have, we would have never made it to Argentina,
Yeah. And you were driving across the country when all this shit was going down too. So it's kind of like, I remember reading that you were leaving and going, oh man, what a weird time this has been. Did you have like stuff planned for this year that had to be put on the shelf?
Oh yeah. Well, one of the things I was really looking forward to was to do a recording, and even that couldn't happen. And that was with my friend Danny Barnes and Mark Rubin, and they had told me that we'd even set up a date for them to come down and play some of my songs, like kind of Stanley Brothers style, and lay their tracks down and let me fudge through mine. But yeah, that didn't really happen. So I had a couple of tours lined up that were supposed to happen, but they didn't end up happening because most of the clubs said, for one, they didn't know what things would be like, to try and reschedule stuff. So let's just, and then if we did do anything, even when there was a slight opportunity, the guarantees were so far down because they don't know who's going to show up. I mean, just because you can go somewhere doesn't mean someone wants to go somewhere. I'm playing my second show since this happened. One was in Spartanburg, South Carolina for about a month ago, or maybe 2 months ago, for my friend Mick's birthday weekend down there. And that was very strange. And they definitely deal with stuff, and it was great. Strange because people weren't wearing masks at that point. So it was kind of like, almost felt like nothing was going on. And it's probably like 50 people, maybe, something like that. And the club had masks. They were doing their part, but not the people that showed up didn't have to wear them. But here in Asheville, they're very strict about it inside the club, especially the one that I'm playing at. That was the first one I actually went to, and there was a certain way you had to come in and round yourself and drop your dirty dishes off here and go around this way. And if you go outside, only through this door, and only back in through this door. Have to have your mask on till you get to your table. It was all just a guest list as well. So, it was a small atmosphere. So I've seen it handled in different ways. And nobody has been sick in Spartanburg, as far as I know, from all the shows they've done there. So yeah, it might not be that part of the community that's getting it, in that area. But they've been doing, regular shows when he can. He's been trying to keep it together, which is, I really feel for him and the folks that have been doing that part of it for a long time. I also feel extremely bad for the young kids, the 23-year-old kids that had the most kick-ass band of their life put together for themselves, and they're ready to take over the world, and then all of a sudden this shit happens. It's like, I got to at least go out and do that shit. Even before cell phones, I was out doing that shit, which makes it even funner. But that's that's really awful for the kids today. It's going to change the way. I don't think playing on. I don't really like online shows personally. I think they sound like crap unless you pre-record the song and someone's got a good system. Maybe the deal is to invest in home entertainment systems that sound like PAs, and then they just send you a feed that goes through basically like just a link that somehow they can figure out the gap in timing, and you could actually listen to a show and watch them on a huge screen, and it actually sounded like the show, as opposed to a guy with an acoustic guitar and his phone keeps cutting out.
You know what's even worse? It's some other asshole that has some video podcast, especially when they have a goatee and they're wearing like a toboggan and they have glasses. They're Jewish. Watch out for those guys, man. I don't know where all these idiots that think they have a platform are like setting it up to where they talk to somebody with a beautiful scenery behind them who also has a beard, and you just gotta watch out for that stuff, man.
When we played that Chris Cornell show out there, I remember we were talking about how we could bum out people there because there were so many people not on our side of the building but on the other side of big name stature, I guess, and net worth wise. And we were talking about how nice it would be in the middle of them partying just to like say hi and they'd be polite and then be like, hey man, so I got this podcast. You think maybe sometime you could work on this with me? Yeah, I'd love to do that sometime. Cool. Well, I'm set up down the hall. It will just take about 40 minutes. Yeah, it would have been nice. I would have liked to have done that.
It's Jeff. Yeah, it's Jeff.
Oh, hey, how you doing? I've got a glare in my phone, so I can't see so well. Hey, Willow.
You seem like you're a take it in stride kind of person, so
Well, yeah, I've done whatever it takes to get by for as long as I've been doing stuff, which is kind of what your book is about. To me, you got to sometimes part of working as a musician is you got to you do have to do things you're not necessarily qualified for or want to do, or nobody trusts you to do it because you've been playing music your whole life. But you go around and you just make it happen. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
That's also a good thing not to be too trapped into possessions.
Someone's gonna scare you.
Hey!
Oh no!
You see, I think it was a Hunt Sale that said you need to be at the corner of, let me say it was preparation and opportunity. And that's the best corner to be at, So you got to kind of prepare for these times, or anytime someone might call me to play, I can't not play banjo. If someone wants me to do a track, I can't be like, give me 30 days to get my chops up, man. You always have to be prepared just for that opportunity.
Right. And you said the other day when I contacted you about this that you were being talked to about that little known band that you were in, the Butthole Surfers, for a little while ago, and that you were what is that about? Can you talk about that?
The documentary?
Yeah.
He just came by for a couple of days over here, and we did a couple of interviews, one inside, one outside, hung out and talked and caught up a little bit the night before. But he doesn't really know what it's going to be like, but he's got everybody's participation. And it might involve some recreations of certain things. We definitely will have interviews, or at least he's getting his information from us in a visual way. And I think all the live footage he's going to have is going to be actual live footage. Yeah, like he's not going to recreate animate a show or something like that. But we'll see what happens. He's a one-man band, and who knows what will happen with it. But we have all talked to him so far, and he said Teresa was an excellent storyteller.
So this is the book. You should be getting your copy soon.
Okay, great.
And it'll be out a month from now. But your chapter has a lot of really good quips in it. I wanted to ask you a few questions about it. There was one part of it where you said after you left the Butthole Surfers, you were like thinking, well, everybody will know who I am. I'll have a real leg up on all these new opportunities. And then you said to me, and then it occurred to me that on all the records that we had done, there was no pictures of anybody in the band, no information, no actual names of the people that are in the bands. So unless you already were a fan of the Butthole Surfers, you said it was kind of like not a rude awakening, but you said it was like sort of humbling.
Yeah, that was extremely humbling. Yeah. And you know, that's when I realized you're only as good as your last record. Anyways, you know, it doesn't really matter, you know, how good your three records ago was. If your last record sucked, nobody cares about you anymore. So, you know, it's something you just got to get past anyways, because nobody really, you know, there's a lot of people that don't even hear the bass guitar. Yeah. So it's you know, the first time they did a review of a show that I was in, I think it was at the Ritz, and my name was, people fucked with me a few times on that, but my name was, one was Jeff, the guy with the black hair. The other one, I think it was my cousin was there at one of the shows, and she told them my name was Pink Ass. So that was another time. And then our friend from the Barbecue Killers, Laura, she called me Tudor because we did blow together. And so one time I was in there, the Jeff Tudor Pinkus. So Tudor was my unofficial nickname for a while. So yeah, I didn't really have anything to go on that anyone to put together for anyone to see my reel. I couldn't show them my reel and get a job.
Right. Yeah, but you said something else that was really good in your chapter, which is like you just have to be prepared to roll with the punches and just don't fight it, because if you try to fight it, you're going to lose every time. Is that's something that's been born from personal experience and trying to hustle your way through, not hustling, but, you know, just try to keep things going, keep money coming in, keep interest in what you're doing high, you know, like taking care of your brand, so to speak. Which is
create a brand first, which is you know, creating a brand, which is, I remember Dale when we were talking about that, and you know, to have a name where you use on a regular basis is better. Like me, I've Jeff, Jeffrey, JD, or Pinkus just by itself. So it's like, it's hard to, you know, you want to definitely brand, you know, yourself so you can figure out a way to advertise and not confuse people. You know, so then to roll with the punches, definitely. I mean, you know, every time I'm down and out, something always seems to come up and give me something to look forward to. You know, it just seems like another door always seems to open. And I think that is keeping the right attitude. And, you know, it's important to learn how to say no, but you really have to keep yourself open to opportunity and maybe things that push you outside of your comfort zone. But, you know, saying no when people are using you, that's, you know, me and Paul from the Butts had that conversation. And I remember someone asked me to play on something, and I said no. And he goes, "Feels good, doesn't it?" And I was like, well, it was like the first time I'd ever said no to anybody. And it was very refreshing to myself to know that I don't need to do everything that I'm uncomfortable with. But, yeah, definitely keep yourself open to opportunities. Yeah.
So are you planning, I mean, have you been like, with the downtime, have you been like doing other things? Like, have you been writing a lot, or like, you know, you did the Keep Off the Grass CD a couple years ago. Are you planning on doing another release of that kind of that kind of music?
Yeah, I am, and I actually got an offer for somebody that's interested in putting it out, so I don't have to do it myself this time, which would be really nice if it happens. We're going to talk actually tomorrow about some details about it coming out in June. But I have two things. I haven't offered to release either one, but I have the stuff that I wrote for the Butthole Surfers that I've been working on with other people, including Paul, and Osa from Shit Kids sings on a song, and I got Sam Coombs from Quasi and John Spencer playing on pretty much every track.
Cool.
I did the drums and the bass and the vocals on most of it, but it's you know, I don't know what to do with it. In fact, I'm trying to think about like trying to find you know, someone maybe release each song with a video and just do it like that, and not even put it in a package or anything of that sort. Just trying to do something different, you know. But I can't do that work myself. I'd have to find somebody that could only do video and couldn't do music, that needed someone like me, you know. So there needs to be like an eHarmony for that kind of stuff, you know.
Have you been able to meet anybody in your new adopted hometown?
Yeah, I sure have. My neighbor up the hill, we just played tennis for the second time, and he hadn't played in years, and I hadn't played in about, I don't know, 9 months or something. So that felt good to go out and run around for a little bit out here. But yeah, I met, I knew people before I moved out here that lived out here, and so I've seen some of those folks and doing some side jobs, meeting some people, really nice people. I went and took a quarter ounce of mushrooms up in bear country off of the Appalachian Trail up just north of Marshall, and then something the next day to come down with. So it was nice. We were up in bear country in a thunderstorm, and all I had was a hammock. It was a good night.
Wow. How'd you end up moving to North Carolina anyway?
Well, I played here about a year ago, and I talked to the fella with the place that I played, the Asheville Yacht Club. One of the fellas that works there was the one who booked it, and we had met in Texas and a couple other times too, briefly. And so he offered me a place to stay, told me we got talking, and he was talking about his plans for this place out here, and then he had another opportunity come up, and he was going to try and buy this place, or he is going to buy this place, but he has to be away from it for a while. So I said, well, hey, I'm looking to get out here. It's a little closer to my folks. It's out of Austin. I think I've pretty much done everything I can in Austin, and come out here and meet some different people to play with, and it's a much more banjo-oriented town, so that helps too. And this place is up on a mountain, so we don't have any direct neighbor around us, which is extremely nice and peaceful, especially for this time of quarantine that we got here just when nobody's supposed to be out, and we're in this place, and we're in heaven, you know. So anyways, he needed someone to move in for a little while, and we decided this like almost a year ago before the coronavirus happened. So it was just the timing of when I actually moved out here was the part that was the toughest.
Yeah. Well, get ready for the fall, boy. You're going to be in heaven times two.
Oh, I know. I can't wait just to see what the snow looks like through the valley here. I could stay really busy out here in Asheville if I wanted to work. But I'm trying to get. When I first got out here, there was a misunderstanding, and the guy brought me on for way more work than I wanted. Although I was very grateful for having the work, but I was like, I was doing some hardcore work, and I was beating myself up about 3.5 weeks, and so finally,
I want to ease my way. I want to ease my way into this.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's what I wanted to do, and that's why I ended up with my other friend, who I've known, and I told him what I was looking for. So he's a lot better with the like just give me a little bit of work here and there, and it's pays pretty decent, and it's for what it is, and usually I can just come and go whatever time to do it.
That's cool.
But I haven't done it too much, so I mean I've been just trying to get back into getting the music done, and Camille's going out of town to go pick up her truck in Texas on the 19th. And so I've got like about 2 weeks at that point where I really want to get into the recording here at the house. So I don't have to put the whole house on a lockdown during lockdown. Like, shh, be quiet. The mic is 1,000 times more sensitive than the human ear.
Make some nice field recordings.
Yeah. Well, the birds are so loud because the plane traffic is so little. And out here, and I saw a report on that. And, it's because there's no air traffic, but for the most part, we had a hawk. We have 17 chickens, and we had a hawk fly over our head, and this place just lit up with all the birds screaming when they saw this fat hawk up in the sky. And then our chickens went running up the ladder up inside the coop. Man, we got a little aviary net on top of it that I put up there. we put up there. And if they, hopefully I just don't have to pull a hawk out of that net. That would be the worst, man.
Right. Well, it sounds like you're basically doing pretty good, all things considered, with the pandemic, you know?
Yeah. Well, I sold a lot of shit when I moved out here too, you know. So when I left the place, I sold a lot of memorabilia. I sold musical equipment. I sold a lot of things to lighten my load and to help me through what I knew was going to be a tough time. And running out of those things to sell, you know, but hopefully figure out a new way by the time that becomes an issue. You know, can't love anything that doesn't love you back. And speaking of love, I lost a bass that I thought was stolen 9 years ago, I think it was. And I was playing rhythm guitar for this Texas version of the Moist Boys. And my friend Stephen Haas was doing Mickey's part. And Nick Oliveri was playing bass on it. And he liked my bass, this custom bass, for this one song that had to go real fast, and asked if he could borrow it. And so we thought it got left behind or left outside of the truck, and then someone just took it, or we asked the club to look for it, all that. Someone posted it on my site, on my Facebook site, and said that, does this look familiar? And it's just been sitting in a case in their garage for years because they cleaned out the club that I played at, and it ended up in this guy's garage, and he'd buried it with a bunch of other shit. And so I'm getting this bass back after like 9 years of thinking this custom bass was stolen from me.
Wow.
Yeah, Nick Oliveri was offering to give me his P bass. I was like, "No, dude, this shit happens, man. I'm not taking your P bass." But he felt awful about it because I wasn't even playing bass on that one.
Right. So, yeah, it sounds like you have things figured out. Well, you've kind of you've been in situations where you would just have to sort of wait stuff out and see what happens and work toward whatever that next door is, you know?
Yeah.
The chapter is good because you just talk about, I felt entitled at certain points in my career, and then I just realized what the deal really was, and everything is just about, one door closes, another door opens, and that kind of thing. And that's a pretty good attitude to have about the whole thing, especially about just trying to be self-motivated and self-employed. So.
Right. Yeah. And it seems like it's almost getting like I picked it's like speaking of a door that opened. Like my friend Danny Barnes asked me to do a banjo record because he liked my banjo songs. He goes, "Let's put them all down on one cassette." He wanted to do a cassette, and I was like, "Well, I don't want to do a CD if I'm going to do it." And, if I wouldn't have done that when I did it and proved to myself, I played a bunch of regional local shows, but 58 shows on the road by myself, that I proved to myself that I could do this solo thing. And I got pretty much about the same amount of money that as my part would be if I was to tour with Honky without having the overhead of having other musicians and other people and stuff. I love everybody, but it's a lot. It's very satisfying, but it's a relief to know that you can do something by yourself that can possibly earn you an income without relying on anyone else. Because I always find myself, this is something I realized, I might have said this before, but I would find myself getting mad at other people for not doing stuff I thought was important. And instead of me just taking care of it, because if it's that important to me, I need to do it myself. I can't take it out on other people. Everybody's got so much going on that you don't even know about, that to put that kind of weight on other people and then hold a grudge or to feel bad that somebody, didn't do what they said they were going to do. You just got to learn, for one, learn those people. And for two, to just be prepared to do everything by yourself, because when it all comes down to surviving, you're all you've got. That's it. Because no one else has to give you anything.
Yeah, totally. I actually that's what this year has been. It's been like, well, I can count on myself. I've been in a hard up position before, and I just worked my butt off and got through it. And so this year has been about, oh, I guess I do have a name. Oh, I guess people still care. and nobody has to care. So I'm grateful that anybody gives a shit. You know, nobody has to give money to somebody in exchange for their art or their creativity. And the fact that they still do it is a wonderful thing. So I try to not take that for granted. But
you hear people talk about the term human rights all the time. We really don't have any human rights. That's all made up. There's no such thing as human rights. That's something that's like Gibby said about premature ejaculation. One time he goes, "That's bullshit. If you hear about me, I come whenever I want." So yeah, it doesn't matter. You know, it's
no, I mean I feel like this year especially, there's a lot of lip service, a lot of people that are angry, people are scared, a lot of stuff where they took the situation that we're in, the pandemic, and taking this thing that's kind of scientific and making it into this.
Oh yeah. It's ridiculous.
It just got to the point where it's like, man, we're all in this, you know. We're not all in this. Unfortunately, we're not all in this together. You know, I mean,
never would be. Yeah, we can't all be. Yeah,
I would love to think that this would have been the one thing that people could have agreed on. Like, hey, we all have our differences, and I'm on this team, and you're on this team, and blah blah blah, and you know, we're gonna go 9 innings, whatever. But we'll put all that aside because of this, and. You know,
but see, the whole world runs off of conflict, and so there's no way we could live in a utopian society because nothing gets done without conflict of some kind. So theoretically, the whole idea could never work because nothing would ever get done. You couldn't get mad at the guy who wasn't doing any work that was right next to you. You couldn't do, while you're doing work and he's, smoking a cigarette and jacking off onto a shovel right next to you. Yeah, that would be a utopian world where you could just get away with doing that and no one would say a word to you. But we have to have conflict.
Yeah, totally.
And there's always been the man with the shovel, and there's always been the man with the gun. And you just want to be the man with the gun at some point in time in your life.
Yeah, I just feel like